Now when you're testing for a forward Illia, so when you tested on the back, the Illia moved quite nicely and you got bounce on both sides. But then when you work up the legs and then test from the hip bones from the front to see if you've got movement into each SI joint, and Candace does, but I'm going to pretend that Candace doesn't on this side. So if I were to press on the hip bone here, and I would have both hands on because I want to feel if this hip bone pops up. So if I pressed and couldn't get a bounce, or this hip bone pops up when I press this one, then I know that this one is stuck forward. And the treatment for that is very simple, and it's one that the person can do themselves at home as well. You take the person, there's a few ways to do it, but I find this the most simple and the simplest to teach someone. So I'm going to ask you to press against me, but you're just going to pretend to do that because you don't have this problem. So we don't want to fix something that's not there. But what I would do is take her to pretty much her limit, and then I would say press against me with just engaging the muscles. It doesn't have to be a lot of muscular force, and she would press against me, and we would count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I'd have her relax her muscles, and as she relaxed, I'd take her a little further into the stretch, and then again we would repeat that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't count too fast, it's supposed to be seconds, and then she would let go again, and I would press in a little further. We would do that one more time. So again, I'd say press against me, and you don't want them overpowering you, so if they press too hard, just say, oh, just engage the muscles, don't try to overthrow me here. and then we go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 more time, so 3 times overall, and then at the last one I'd give another little push. And what that does basically, it just rotates the Illia back. So you can't see me high there. So if it doesn't work, and then you retest and make sure it's moving. And I always tell the person, you know, I'm looking for movement back here in the SI joint, so I'll put my hand back there and say, and I'll say, can you feel how that moves on that side and not on this side? And generally people can. If you do this fix and you don't get movement on after you've taken the person through that, then that generally means that the sacrum at the back is rotated and it's catching in this joint. So sometimes the person will have discomfort when you're doing that stretch with them, if that's the case, in which case you would stop and then test the sacrum and see if it's popped up on that side. The other thing that can happen with the sacrum, of course, is the tailbone can be tucked anterior or posterior if they've had an accident or an impact on the base of the spine. So once in a while you'll find that, or a woman who's had a baby, sometimes the tailbone will be even twisted one way or the other. So once you know your client well enough, you can look at testing that as well. Or if you have someone come in who's in a lot of pain, then you just tell them, you know, I want to test the base of your tail, of your coccyx, and make sure that it's not twisted or popped into a position that's causing you discomfort. Well, while I've got you here, Candace, I might as well check and see how the hips are moving. when you have someone who's more of an H shape, like Candace, so she's got narrower hips, then it's not as obvious as someone, you know, like myself who has small waist, large hips, larger hips. Yeah, no. And she's got the same, you're looking for the same amount of bounce on both sides. So when the hip is stuck, it really, you won't get any bounce. And on the other side, you'll get more than you will after you fix it. So there'll be excess bounce coming from the left. And then once the hip is pressed back into place, it should even out on both sides. Let me check your neck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I feel better there.